Hello again, my little state troops, and welcome to another Morty and Glory video. In today's episode, we are going to be going through step by step in nitty-gritty detail, not one, but two army lists. Because I went to an old world doubles tournament recently, and I want to share with you the list that I took, and also give you some details on the list that I was paired up with as well. It was Empire and Chaos combined. And let me tell you, if you are ever planning on going to a doubles tournament, this is an incredible combination. Who knew that giving Empire access to dragons and Chaos access to cannons would be so damn potent? And with that little bit of hype in the air, let's not mess around any further. Let's grab our halberds, hold the line, and dive right into this thing. Attention guardsmen, the Morty and Glory channel is now officially sponsored by Wargames Atlantic. Wargames Atlantic sells fantastic multi-part plastic kits which are perfect for expanding and augmenting your guard army. Not only do you get a very generous amount of models for a very impressive price point, but also they have a bulk buy discount. The more you buy, the bigger you save. And what's even cooler is they've got loads of different designs to choose from. You've got your Bulldogs, which could count as Praetorians. You've got your Le Grognards, which could count as Mordians, Kriegers, or Vestorians. But if you're looking for something a little bit more modern sci-fi, maybe you're a big Aliens fan, then check out their Ura models, which could count as Cadians or Colonial Marines. So if you like what you see, then please click the affiliate link down in the description below. It's a great way of getting yourself some new models and supporting the channel at the same time. A huge thank you to Wargames Atlantic for sponsoring the channel, and now let's get back to the video. Now, as is tradition on this channel, we will of course start with the forces of the Emperor. Which Emperor? Whichever one is paying us the most. It's time for another installment of Vossenberg's Vagabonds, my mercenary empire company. And they were kind of out in force this time, but it wasn't a full 2,000 point detachment of the company. Clearly, they'd had to split the contract with some Wolves of the Sea mercenaries as well. But with that said, what was my 1,000 point empire army? Well, firstly, I took the city-state of Nuln. This was the first time that I had really gone off the beaten track. See, I love the Army of Infamy. I just really think it's great. It's got a nice split of units. There's very few restrictions in terms of what you can take. Yeah, you have a bit of a problem with you don't have any special rules, but what you have instead of special rules is just access to everything in all the quantities you could possibly desire. But I thought, you know what? I've got this arcane journal. I really should be trying to get the most out of it. And I know you guys love a good gunline style army. I know you guys love a good bit of firepower. So I thought, screw it. Let's take Nuln and let's take a proper Nuln army as well. And in truth, that was the main motivator. I wanted to try something a bit different. I wanted to try some of the arcane journal, and I wanted an excuse to run Nuln. But there was another important reason why I wanted to go for this particular army, and that was because I knew what my teammate was taking. I knew Sam was going to be taking Chaos, and I knew a key part of his army was going to be a dragon. And we'll get into exactly what his list was later on, but I knew that dragon was going to be there. He said, I'm definitely taking a dragon. And I was like, okay. Well, what can I do to support that dragon? What can I do to plug gaps in Sam's army? Because I know that a dragon is going to take up a huge amount of points. And so that was really my number one motivator for selecting the units that I had. Being able to plug gaps that Chaos can't plug themselves traditionally, like having ranged firepower. And I knew that Sam was taking like dragons and cavalry and stuff like that. So I thought, well, if he brings the monsters and the cavalry, if I bring the infantry and the firepower, then we should have a pretty potent list, which doesn't have any major weaknesses, and each army is playing to its strengths. So with all of that said, and hopefully a bit of helpful context added, now let's get into the units. And of course, we have to start off with the Infantry Corps. Because every day in the Corps, it's like a day on the farm. Every meal a banquet, every paycheck a fortune, every formation a parade. I love the Corps. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This was the fun part of the list. This was the bit that I allowed myself to indulge. Because I love Empire State Troops. I think they're great. But the sad reality of the situation is that they're actually a bit rubbish. And also the fact that I was taking a 1,000-point army meant that I wouldn't really be able to get the state troops in meaningful quantities. They would absolutely just be speed bumps and there to look pretty on the battlefield. Which, hey, what's the point of playing Old World if your armies don't look fantastic, you know? I also wanted to take state troops that looked like they were proper units. Because I could have just been like, you know what, I'll take the bare minimum. 10 Halberdiers, 5 Handgunners. Because there are some restrictions around Nuln about how you have to take a detachment with the parent unit, any parent unit that you take. But I was like, that's going to look kind of rubbish if I've just got random 10 state troops wandering around and a random 5 Handgunners. So I was like, no. That's not the Old World I want to play. I want to play tough. I want to play hard. I want to win at the tournament, of course. But I want to also stick to my principles. So I thought, you know what? Let's take a couple of proper state troop units that look proper in a bit of a classic state troop style and formation. So what I ended up doing is taking 2 bricks of 20 state troops. You guys know I normally love taking them in 40s and 30s, so I really was taking the minimum I could to make it look like a proper unit, but it was going to be a proper unit. I was trying to get as many as I could in with 1,000 points allowance, you know. So I took 2 bricks of 20 state troops, the classic 5x4 formation that we all know and love, and then I gave each one a detachment of 5 handgunners. And just look at them. It just looks proper. You know, it just looks great. So this was the fun bit. There was a bit of a tactical element to it as well. It's always nice to have a bit of a tool in the toolbox. Being able to have a bit of a tar pit, a bit of a speed bump. And I figured that there was enough state troops here that they wouldn't completely crumble the moment they got hit. They would at least be able to hold an enemy unit up for hopefully a round of combat or two. Which could be quite important because if you can take a charge in your opponent's turn, then it means that when it comes over to your turn, you can hopefully try and react to that charge. So these guys were just there to be a couple of mini tar pits to try and just add a bit of stickiness to the army. As for the handgunners, I had to take them, so I just took 5 of each. I would have loved to have taken more, but points were starting to get a little bit tight, especially when we start looking at the war machines. But you know what? The little 5-man detachment of handgunners, with benefit of hindsight, actually did really well. They consistently chipped a wound off here and there over the course of each game. And they were dirt cheap. They weren't very expensive at all. So, yeah, I was really happy with them. But now we get to the real heart of the list. The war machines. And I never leave home without a brace of cannon. I have learnt the hard way what happens when an Empire army does not include 2 of these vital engines of war. At the end of the day, the Empire has very little that it can do against big monsters and horrible beasties. The only way we can really deal with them is to obliterate them from afar. And personally, I think the Empire Great Cannon is one of the best war machines in the game. It's got an incredible strength, great AP, and most importantly, it does D3 +1 damage. I cannot tell you the number of times that +1 has saved my ass. And I can't tell you how many times when I've played dwarves and I've had just my one little dwarf cannon and it's just only got its little D3 shots and it only ends up doing 1 wound. Oh, nothing more demoralizing. Great cannons are great. It says it on the tin. Now, one of the big things I wanted to do with these was not only pick off big enemy monsters, but also soften things up for our dragon. Because the dragon should be able to handle most things that it comes across. But why have a fair fight? Only a fool fights fair. I like to fight unfair. If the enemy has a dragon and we have a dragon, I want the enemy dragon to be on half wounds before we get into combat with it with our dragon. And so that was the purpose of these cannons. To pick off big monsters that the dragon might not be able to get to because it might already be busy. Or if it's going to be a mano-a-mano fight, make sure that our mano comes out on top. And then I had 2 Hellblaster volley guns. Because I love Hellblaster volley guns. They are just so cool. They're so cool, man. They're probably my favorite war machine. Cannons are great, and I think they're like the best war machine. But Hellblaster volley guns are probably my favorite. I always wanted one of these as a kid, and now I own 2 of them, and I'm looking to get a 3rd one now. They're fantastic, and they're very swingy, though. Multiple times, pretty much every time I've used one of these things, I have found that it has an on-turn and an off-turn. It'll have one turn when it will obliterate everything in front of it. It will kill every mother in the room. And then the next turn, it'll go and a single like ball will roll out of one of the barrels and just plop into the ground. And it'll just do like nothing. Now, whenever I've run one of these in the past, it's been very swingy. It's been like on turn, off turn. However, when I've run 2 of them, you don't tend to have as much swinginess overall. Because if one of them starts messing up, the other one ends up picking up the slack. So when one's having an off turn, the other one's having an on turn. And very rarely do they both have an off turn. But let me tell you, when they both switch it on, they both go absolutely ballistic and just start blasting everything, it can win you games. Hellblasters, cannons are the precision tool for the gentleman gunner. That's what they are. Hellblasters are the wild card, baby. And I love them for that. I love the randomness. I love the swinginess. I think it's what makes Old World great, and it's a big part of the flavor, and I think Hellblasters embody that. Finally, we have our characters. In this army, I just had 2 characters, 2 engineers. The one on the left was my warlord, and he was just a basic engineer. The one on the right was my engineer, who was also a battle standard bearer, because you can do that in Nuln. It's really, really cool. And then because I had like 20 points left over, I gave him a grenade launching blunderbuss, and I think I gave him some light armor as well. Again, because you got 3 points left over, you might as well give your engineer light armor. That was it. The grenade launching blunderbuss actually ended up doing something, which is kind of cool, and I've started using it more and more. I used to be solidly a pigeon bomb guy, and you know what? I do love pigeon bombs. They are a meme, but they can be surprisingly useful as well. But the grenade launching blunderbuss is genuinely a really good bit of equipment, and I recommend you stick it on an engineer if you've got a few points left over. The main reason I was taking these guys, though, was because I wanted my war machines to be operating at peak efficiency. And I have found that one engineer can comfortably manage 2 guns, whether it's 2 cannons or 2 Hellblasters or 1 of each. I have, on occasion, had one engineer managing 3 guns, but something always tends to go a bit squiffy. So if you're thinking about engineer to gun ratio, I recommend 1 engineer for every 2 guns. It's not too expensive, and it makes sure those guns do their job every time. Now, I said that was finally on the engineers, but actually I lied to you, because I realized that there's one unit here that I actually didn't take a picture of. I had 5 Empire Archers as well. Now, they were just put in the list as purely attacks unit. In fact, there was so much of attacks that you can see I actually forgot to do them as part of taking the picture when I was setting this video up. They were attacks unit. Over the course of the tournament, they killed like a couple of goblins and did like a wound to 1 chaos model. They didn't really do much. So them not being pictured here isn't a big deal. Me not really going through the tactics behind them wasn't a big deal. They were an absolute tax unit because I needed to have 3 units minimum outside of war machines and characters. That's just one of the force organization restrictions you have in Old World. So I had my state troops, I had my Hellblasters, I had my cannons, I had my characters. I needed to have an extra unit the cheapest one I could get was the archers, so that's why they were there. But they didn't really do anything of note, and there wasn't any real tactical decisions about including them in the army. But I did say it was a doubles tournament, and so, of course, we are going to have to take a look at Sam's army. Chaos. Wolves of the Sea. Now, I want to say a massive thank you to Sam for sending these pictures over, and also for providing us some thoughts on why he took the units that he took. So rather than me talking for him, I'll just read out the thoughts that he has sent over. So, the dragon. Even when limited to 500 points on characters, the Chaos Lord is an absolute monster. With 10 toughness 6 wounds and a built-in ward save, he's unlikely to ever give up the points invested in him. He's also fast enough to threaten large areas of the table, and his damage output is high enough to reliably win the vast majority of combats. Here's the piece I built my half of the army around. And to be honest, if I just interject here a little bit, it's also the piece that I built pretty much my entire army around. So there was basically 1,500 points supporting this dragon. Next up, we've got the core. With 250 points to spend and a dragon already locked in, I wanted to choose units that complement it. I took 2 units of 6 Mark of Corn Marauder Horsemen with flails. They're fast, they're cheap and disposable, which is important when frenzied, and they hit well above their points cost, making them ideal chaff clearers, and the dragon doesn't want to waste its time killing chaff. Then I needed some chaff of my own. As a Skaven main, I know the value of the Rat Dart, and the Warriors of Chaos have their version of that with the Warhounds. 2 units of 5 allow me to manipulate enemy movement, block enemy line of sight, and vitally block the line of sight of my own frenzied cavalry, making it harder for my opponent to frenzy bait them. Lastly, the Skin Wolves. The dragon hits like a freight train, but it doesn't have 360 degree line of sight. This means it can get outmaneuvered by fast flying skirmishers such as Peg Knights. I wanted something able to project a substantial threat in a 360 degree area in order to catch any enemy units trying to give the dragon the slip. The Skin Wolves are also great in this low point setting where I can't take as many units, as their mutation rules allow them to adjust their profile on the fly to better counter whatever it is I end up facing. Again, I want to say a big thank you to Sam for sharing those thoughts with us, because it really does help provide a little bit of extra context, especially around factions that I'm personally not that well acquainted with. But I think that just about covers everything. We've gone through my list, we've gone through Sam's list, and together we had a pretty potent 2,000 point army with a Chaos Dragon backed up by a lot of Empire firepower, and then the fact that we had the bodies of infantry coming from the Empire and the fast maneuverability coming from the Chaos Cavalry Wolves and Skin Wolves, we had a force which really was ready for anything. And if you want to find out how the army did, then you'll have to check out the after action report. There'll be a link to that down in the description below. And if you want to see how we did over 3 rounds of furious competitive combat, I highly recommend you check it out. As always, don't forget to go ahead and smash that like button. And if you want to see more content like this, then make sure you subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members, and Patreons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordring Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last, but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bon Vert, Lord Pryor, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.